Number one, the issue of the day right now is tariffs. We need to know if there's going to be a continuing tariff regime. If so, what is the right tariff mix that allows for our domestic manufacturing to grow in the additive world? There's a desire from the administration, but you don't have to, like I said earlier, you don't have to entice this industry to come back. We're already here. I think the AM industry sounds to me like there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of opportunity, there's also a lot of uncertainty given the new administration and some of the policy choices and the tariffs. As a matter of fact, we were just on a panel session, and while we were on the panel session, new tariff news came out. So, I think the hardest part for any industry, including additive right now, is simply knowing the next step. We don't yet have a good sense of where they're going. The one thing I think what we do know is that there's an interest and a desire to grow domestic manufacturing. And I do believe that the additive community is well positioned to be able to be a part of that solution, in part because we're already here. We don't have to be enticed to come back. We have to be given an environment that allows us to grow and thrive. And part of that is through an intentionality of a demand signal, use of AM to meet domestic and defense needs, but also about making sure that we have a direct path to be able to get to contract and allow those programs to move forward. So my hope is that I think we can play a bigger role as a community. And I think what I'm hearing around town and around the community here is that they see an opportunity from a technological standpoint, that we're moving from this is a cool technology to these are really important applications. These are really important programs. These are the final products that we can really make. Some of it may be a little less fancy, maybe a little boring and sexy right now, but I do think that there's some opportunities for us to get to what are the products we're actually going to produce that make the most sense, that allow us to move the ball forward. So I think from my perspective, there's a real need for workforce development across the entire spectrum from the shop floor to the PhD. What I do see as a challenge, again, goes back to the demand signal. There has to be clarity from the industry, and I mean this from the defense industry, so the Defense Department, NASA, and those, that they're going to actually buy AM products, that there's going to be AM contracts, so that they can set that demand signal, which will make it clear that there will be jobs. I think when you have an identification that we have a clarity about that there are going to be jobs, and we work through the K through 12 and our community colleges and our universities to attract and help people understand the additive community, the additive workforce needs, and what the job is like. And that actually, this isn't traditional manufacturing. This is a very cool opportunity and experience for them to do. I think we actually, with the work that's already happened with the young kids in elementary and junior high schools, there's a lot of interest in it. We just have to connect the path all the way through. But again, I think they have to see a job at the end of the day, and that's about intentionality. There's a couple of different sets of policies that we are working on. Number one, the issue of the day right now is tariffs. We need to know if there's going to be a continuing tariff regime. If so, what is the right tariff mix that allows for our domestic manufacturing to grow in the additive world? There's a desire from the administration, but you don't have to, like I said earlier, you don't have to entice this industry to come back. We're already here, but we have to be given the right environment. So part of it is don't put a lot of taxes on or tariffs on our inputs into the industry. So make it easier for us to be more cost effective than whichever country you're putting a tariff against. But you have to make sure that you make that possible through do that. On the other side, it's about making it easier for small and medium-sized companies to actually do business directly with the Department of Defense. So procurement reform is really important because we have a lot of folks that'll do some research through the SBIR programs, the SBIR programs, but then they kind of get lost right there. They don't get to the procurement contract. So we have to create more intentional pathways for those small and medium-sized businesses to be able to get to a contract without having to go shopping for a contract vehicle in some random place and then up just sort of paying another company for the rights to use their contract vehicle, which doesn't help the government and it doesn't help the small business. It just makes it harder. So we want to make those paths more clear. So the Additive Manufacturing Coalition, which is a trade association that advocates on behalf of the AM community as a whole, is going to do its third annual DC legislative fly-in, May 6th through 8th in Washington. The first half day, we're hearing from the administration. So we have folks that have been invited from the White House, from the Office of the Secretary of Defense, and from NIST. We've had great success in the last years of having those folks there. And then we're going to break folks into teams, and we're going to go up to Capitol Hill and do visits with members of Congress and their staff, both geographically organized, but also some committees, very key committees and stuff. So we've already got commitments from the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee to meet with them, the House and Senate Armed Services committees, the health committees, the Health Committee, the folks that are doing both medical and defense, all of those key areas are going to be covered. And it's really an opportunity to get to work with other members of the community to talk about what's important to us and why they should care. The biggest challenge with Congress and their staff is, while there's certain people that are very knowledgeable, most people are kind of like the general public. They see AM and 3D printing as a hobby level activity, and we need them to understand it's an industrial manufacturing capacity. And we, in the last 2 days, have actually had congressional staff touring RAPID, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but their jaws were on the floor because they had no idea any of this was going on. So part of the mission of the fly-in is an education effort to raise that level of understanding, while when meeting with the policy committee staffs, really talk about specific policy items that we've already put together an agenda on that will help make that happen. Last year we had 40 participants, we did 70 congressional visits. We're expecting to do more this year. The good news is, for those of you who've never done it before, we do a virtual 101 the week before, help you through it. It's way easier and a lot more fun than you ever thought it would be. And we hope that you'll be able to join us. So I think, first of all, RAPID is a fantastic show because it gives a chance for the industry itself to talk to itself about what's capable, where the technology is today. What's really important, though, is when we bring in outside groups. So hats off to SME, because I've had a number of student groups go through, seeing all of this going on. So that's helping with the workforce activities. And like I said, we worked with SME to invite congressional staffers from the members of Congress from Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana to come here. I had 5 of them yesterday, and a couple more today. And the nice part there is that's where they come in and they see what's really going on. They take that message back. And one of the things we're trying to do is, when we're back in Detroit 2 years, that the members whose staffs were here bring their bosses here next time too, because we want them to see it. It was also an opportunity for us to introduce folks to Michigan. We have the Michigan delegation, we're introduced to Michigan companies or companies doing business here. And that was a huge eye opener for them, that there was a manufacturing base in Michigan that was doing that. And similarly for Ohio and California and New York and all the other places that are here when you do that. So it's really, these kind of shows are really important because it allows us to showcase what's going on. And the biggest important part from the policy standpoint is getting those policymakers and their staffs the opportunity to see all this, because that's when their eyes are opened about what's possible. So, and I just sort of wrap up with regards to the fly-in. The event is May 6th through 8th. And if you're interested in finding out details, you can look us up on the website, addmfgcoalition.org. Just look for the Additive Manufacturing Coalition on the web, you'll find us.